Hello and welcome to the Life and Fight Ever podcast. My name is Jake Cross from UK Fighting Championships and Empire Grappling. I'm joined by always with my co-host Simon. How's it going, Si?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Still just trucking away. How yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And we're also joined today by newly signed UFC fighter and now the former Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion. Hope I don't mess this up. Modestas Bukauskas. I'm still going to get that.
There you go. You hit the nail on the head there, mate. That's probably some of the best pronunciation I've had in a couple of interviews. So I'll give that title to you, mate.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So, but it is, you've been signed to the UFC for around 4 or 5 months now. You was due to make your debut in London, or a fight was getting worked out for that. We were chatting briefly before that. We'll lead up to it as well, but what's the last sort of 4 or 5 months? Has it been frustrating? What's been going through your head?
Well, I guess the only frustrating thing was that, I didn't know when my fight would get rebooked. So I got signed in January. They said that I probably would not be fighting on the London card. That's why a lot of people were sort of speculating, thinking, oh yeah, it only makes sense, guy from Britain, he must be fighting on the London card. The amount of messages from people that I had asking if I was on the London card, I'm like, no. But I couldn't say anything yet because, my management just told me to sort of just be quiet about everything. And then shortly, I think it was probably, maybe mid-Feb, or end of Feb sort of thing. They had an opponent for me and they're trying to get it booked for May 16th. So I was actually supposed to make my UFC debut in San Diego. And, that would have been, that was quite a cool thing for me, having a debut in the US and stuff like that. I was actually really excited for that. And then next thing you know, obviously because of the whole COVID situation, it got all cancelled. But listen, to be honest, I can't complain. You can't really ask for a better replacement location than bloody Yars Island and Abu Dhabi. So to be honest, I'm actually very grateful because I've literally just been in shape the whole time. I've been getting ready for a fight. I've been getting ready for the same opponent. I've been improving my skill set, and I haven't really had much of a hindrance to training. It's not every day. You've got a gym at your house, and you've got your head coach living in the same household as you, literally sleeping in a bed right next, in a room right next to you. So I've actually been very fortunate and grateful that I've been able to keep up with a lot of my training and improve in different areas. And then as lockdown sort of eased down, I was able to get training partners into my household, bending the rules a little bit, I guess you could say here and there, just keep it between us. But anyways, so I've been improving on stuff that's more sort of specific to myself. So I guess there was frustration because obviously I really wanted to get the fight rebooked, and there's a lot of uncertainty. Your manager only messages you when there's something that's going to legitimately happen, and it's when you're sitting there sort of waiting for that text or that phone call, you're just sitting there gritting your teeth up, thinking, when is it going to come? Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I've got a great management team, and they always keep me informed and keep me posted. And then, as soon as everything happened, and Dana White revealed the information about the island and stuff like that, then things sort of started getting solidified. But I really knew that I probably wouldn't know if a fight would get signed until about maybe 6 weeks out from the fight, or later than that, which is pretty much what happened. So yeah, no, it's been a crazy time, but at the same moment, I've still been able to keep up with everything as normal.
Brilliant. So with that sort of during the lockdown then, how's your training week sort of been structured? Has it been sort of where you'll wake up and see how the body's feeling, or have you got a structured week?
Yeah, so I usually I try and train twice a day, 6 days a week, and I have different select sessions that I have for each of those sort of slots or whatever. At the beginning, of lockdown, obviously I wasn't allowed to go out with any training partners at all, so it would be more my strength and conditioning is as normal with my dad twice a week. My pad work, and we've actually added another session. We usually do pad work, but different types of pad work 3 times a week, but we changed one of those sessions to more of a kicking / sort of session. So working more on the kicks and stuff like that. So really already 5 of those sessions were already booked up. And then the rest of it, I would pretty much just do some form of conditioning. So I'm not usually able to run that much during camp because, you know, I guess you could say I get my cardio from, you know, doing shark tanks and sparring and then this and that. So there wasn't really much need for running for me because I'll just get too tired. You know what I mean? It would be too much to add an extra session on. But I was able to run, you know, get the miles in. Also do like, I've got an Airdyne bike, literally just pretty much right next to my bedroom. So I was doing workouts on that. So yeah, you could say everything just pretty much just catered towards, you know, me trying to become an animal. So it's good. So at the beginning, you know, outside of my dad's set, and I'll get like drilling sessions with my dad. So there'll be like one or two maybe lighter sessions where me and my dad would just go over the moves that I didn't get to practice before. And then as, you know, I was able to, you know, as my mates got COVID tested, I got COVID tested, and then they were able to come to my house and blah, blah, blah. Then things started sort of ramping up. So now I have, you know, like I'll give an example for yesterday. Me and Dad would do our pad rounds and drill like the techniques. So 5-minute rounds along with all the drilling and techniques. And then in the evening, I'll go down to BST just because they're only just open up just for the pro guys. And then usually I'll do 5 rounds of shark tanks, but I did 3 rounds yesterday and then another 3 rounds of sparring along with technique and drilling. And then like today I had strength and condition earlier at 11 o'clock. This was going to be one of my last sort of strength and conditioning sessions with my dad. And then in the evening, I've got a big 107 kilo wrestler come and try and take me down. So that's really good. Really high level wrestler. I think he's going to try and qualify for the Commonwealth Games. So he's a really good fella. Good mate of mine as well. Then like tomorrow I'll have really good jiu-jitsu guys like Ed Ingemels, who you may have seen compete on a load of different platforms. Another guy I got as well with me. Both of them again about 106 kgs. So you know, again, big fellas. And then like me, just sort of they're working specifically for me, like what my opponent's going to be doing. So, but again, me just getting out of bad situations. So literally the most horrendous sort of training, but it's just what has to be done. And then in the evening, because I have to go and do medicals. That's another big thing. Like, you know, with the UFC, I have to go and get medicals done, and I have to go to Liverpool to get that done. So I've got to do that on this Friday and the next Friday. So I've changed my session to BST tomorrow in the evening, and again it will just be technique and then 3 rounds of sparring. That'll be probably like my last sparring before the fight. So as you can see, like my week gets filled up with loads of different sessions. I get twice a week that really good wrestler come and train with me. Twice a week those really good jiu-jitsu guys come and roll with me. Twice a week at BST doing like the specific MMA stuff. Twice a week doing strength and conditioning, and then the rest of it with my dad on the pads, you know, sharpening up my my stand-up skill set and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of drilling, a lot of positional stuff. And, you know, I think cardio-wise, there's no one that's going to be able to outlast me with the gas tank. I mean, even yesterday, I went, you know, 3 rounds of shark tanks and then 3 rounds in the cage. And, like, you know, my training partners were finding it hard to keep up with me. So, you know, I think that everything has gone exactly the way I wanted it. But, you know, as well, funny enough, I remember I got actually quite, at the end of sort of February, I got sort of a little bit ill for like 2 weeks. So I don't know what the hell that was, but I remember my cardio was like absolutely like wiped out. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like literally for like 2 weeks, I couldn't get back to normal. And then afterwards I was absolutely fine. So, you know, it's been such a crazy time, but like I said, very grateful and fortunate for things that have come out of it. And I feel like I'm in the best shape that I could ever be. And I know that's such a cliche, but honestly, like it feels really good.
Like, you made a point, obviously, with all the training sessions, and they are quite structured. Obviously, when you started in the game, it was kind of like you turn up to training sessions as and when your coaches put them on. Have you felt like now, and especially in the lockdown period, it's felt more like a proper pro camp, as in it's structured around you making your debut, rather than previously you just turn up to a 6 or 7 o'clock evening class for you?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm very, like I say, I'm quite happy that the guys at BST, they're always looking to help me out. And any other club, although, you know, I'm still going to the sessions and I have to just do the stuff that's in the car, I'm always trying to improve my overall knowledge of mixed martial arts anyways, which I think is vital. But yeah, I think it's been very nice sort of to have a bit of a change to where, you know, like everything now really is like very specific to me. Like all my training partners are you know, we're doing Shark Tanks again. It's amazing that, like, you know, they're not looking to really do much for themselves. I feel like all of us are improving together anyways, because I'm giving them something as much as they're giving me something. But yeah, like you said, everything's very structured and specific to what I need to do. And I think that's a massive, it's funny because I've not really been able, I don't think any of my fights have been really able to really do that specific, like every session. I'm talking like, I'll maybe do it at BST, they'll do specific sessions, but that'll be like twice a week. But here now it's like literally like every single day, guys are like, I just want to help you out. I just want to help you out, which is absolutely amazing. It's really good to have, you know, really good, like loyal and good training partners, you know, very highly skilled. And you know, it's nice to have that sort of community of guys that just really just want to help you succeed and do well. And I definitely feel like they're all part of my journey. And then again, when it comes around to them doing fights, and I'll obviously, you know, be helping them. And it's good because, like I said, it works both ways. They're helping me massively, but I'm also helping them because I'm being sharp and I'm being on point. And, you know, it's making them have to step up their game. Like they're trying to get more takedowns and stuff like that. Was before they're a bit more hesitant. Now they're like really going for it. So it's really good, man. Like overall, I've got an amazing team. I've got an amazing group of people around me, and you know, like I said, I couldn't be any more well prepared than what I am now. And I know in future that will be it will be like a running theme of my camps.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you reckon that things like that will continue going forward now for your future camps, considering how you feel about it now?
Yeah, I think. I mean, listen. When lockdown sort of gets out, I think I'll want to, because it's actually quite nice. You know, guys come to my house to train, and we do stuff like I say that's specifically leading up to a fight. I think if, for example, I haven't got a fight booked, then I would go to like the sessions and just, like I said, I think as a martial artist, you've got to be looking to try and improve as much as you can. You got to want to learn as much as you can. I think some people are quick to to stop learning, or they finish a camp and then they're like, oh yeah, well I can relax now. Like, to be honest, when it gets like I've just finished a fight, obviously I want to train again, but I want to fight again, but you know, I'm going to be staying in shape by trying to just work on things, you know, in my individual areas as well. So, you know, but then obviously when the camp comes back again, then obviously I'll tell my training partners to come around my house, and it's good because I know that they're all going to be willing to, you know, put it all out there in order to help me. So yeah, it's a very nice dynamic, and I'm actually looking forward to having the switch between trying to have my own specific skill development, going to regular classes, and then, you know, preparing tactically for a fight. So it's a nice balance, and I feel, you know, training for these specific opponents anyways is bringing up my overall level and game anyways. So yeah, it's a nice mixture, and yeah, I can imagine that within the next couple of years, I'm definitely become way more dangerous.
You mentioned earlier on about Ed Ingemel's, the level that he's at. I've had him at my old events at Grapple Nation a few years ago against like Dan Strauss and stuff. And then just like your BSC Academy, the guys that I'm aware of, obviously they're not your size, so you might not train them as hard as you would others, but like Jordan Vucinic, Luke Shanks, Jefferson George, just to name a few that mostly do my Empire events month after month. They're killers at their own weight, and it just shows the pool of talent at BST and the guys that you're mixing around at this minute. Yeah,
I mean, listen, we've got I can't pronounce his first name, but I think it's Premislaw Mashala. He's coming to the camp now, and you know, he's training with us. So he's a very high, not only a high level grappler, but high level MMA fighter in his own right. We've got, you know, Lucas Lepianka, who's another very high-level grappler, you know, does really well at ADCC, and he's very, you know, well-known for his leg blocks. You know, Lucas Klinger is another good like massive guy that helps me out in my camp. And, you know, Danny Batten as a coach, and Raymond Paul, you know, you've got a vast array of knowledge, and, you know, a vast array of guys, you know, that you know, like you say, the knowledge pool, just the amount of things flying around, the stuff that I learned from everyone. I never feel like I'm not learning. I'm always picking up something. I'm always trying to improve and level up, and it's good because it also keeps me humble. You know, like, I'm going into training sessions and I'm like, this is going to be bloody difficult, or these guys are going to give me a massive challenge. And that's exactly what I want. I always want to be challenged. And but I also think, no matter what you do, no matter what you train, you can always learn something. So, yeah, it's just nice to have guys at such high level. It makes me way more confident for fights, knowing that I'll be able to, if I can handle their level, I can handle most levels. So, like I say, very grateful and very happy that I've got all these people around me.
100%. So let's rewind and go right back to the beginning. Talk about the beginning of sort of MMA to you, how you came across it, and what made you start training and then competing.
Yeah, so my dad was the Soviet Union no-holds-barred heavyweight champion back in the day. He was one of the top 10 fighters in Lithuania. He got his black belt in karate, and then he started doing sambo, and then he sort of mixed it together and made like his own art. So then when he became, sort of, he called it combat self-defense. So then when he started competing, he started like I said, he developed his own style from the other arts that he learned. And then put it all together and, done really well. It's a shame, we always talk about how, he literally retired just before the UFC came about. It's like, it would have been very interesting to see how he would have done if he would have been given that opportunity to go and fight against these guys. But anyway, so, my dad being a fighter, him having a son, obviously, that's probably going to be one of the routes that you'd expect the son to go down. And, when I was about 5 years old, we started just, he started showing me a couple of moves like here and there, like, oh, look at this kick, or oh, look at this throw and this and that. And, it's more of a playful thing. But then I'd say probably a couple of weeks later, it got serious very quickly. Training started getting very, very solid. If I was making a mistake, now it's not good enough. And, it's good because it made me very disciplined and very, like I said, it made me very hardworking from a very young age. But really, obviously, I knew nothing else. Like all I knew is I have to listen to my dad, and that's it. So, literally, I had no choice really in the matter. But it was good because I'm very thankful for that because, like I said, it just developed my discipline and my willpower and stuff like that, and just me just wanting to work hard. But and then. So he started me out really, like, he started me out training me more specifically in kickboxing. However, we always trained like the sambo and the gi and the stuff on the ground and stuff like that. So we always like tried having an overall sort of level of knowledge, but we mainly competed in kickboxing. So I won the British kickboxing title for 4 different age groups. And funny enough, the last one that I won, I was 14 and I wasn't even like sort of training properly. Like I actually took a hiatus away from martial arts to go to play basketball when I was about 11. And then, I only just prepared for that particular fight. And then that was it. And I think the guy that I fought was it was supposed to be an under 16 bout. And I think the guy just turned 16 or whatever. He's definitely a lot bigger than I was, but yeah, so that's definitely where the striking pedigree comes from. I've always competed and at quite a high level in kickboxing, so that's always carried through. But yeah, and then so I played basketball. I got quite, I got quite decent at it. Then ended up going to America for 2 years. I went there from 16 to 18, and it was my goal to try and get a basketball scholarship to go and play Division 1 basketball. And I didn't get that. I got like one Division 3 school look at me, and that was pretty much it. And then and it's funny, as well in the second year, I decided I'll try my hand at American football, and I actually got pretty decent at it. Like I said, I played defensive end. It was a cold, crazy, amazing experience. But yeah, then I stopped playing halfway through the season because it overlapped with basketball. And in my head, I was like, listen, I came here for basketball. I should concentrate on that, even though I think probably could have had my hand at maybe potentially playing Division 1 college football, not for like a big school, but for a bit of a smaller school. But anyways, I'm glad that everything turned out the way it did. But then, yeah, so when I realized there wasn't too many offers on the table and, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, me and my dad had that conversation. He said, listen, Modestas, you've been competing in martial arts your whole life. You've been training in it. Why don't you come back and we both decided this is my last chance to become a professional. It's always been my dream to become a professional athlete and to compete at the highest level. So that was my last chance. I've tried every other sport and this and that. So this was like my last chance to go and do it. And one thing that I noticed from America, they've got the reason why you see such freak athletes out there and why they're all absolutely insanity is because of their strength and conditioning programs when they're in high school. if you look at the best team, like, I mean, listen, our basketball team was very strong. We got to state semi-final, and we played against a team which had like literally 4 or 5 Division One scholarship athletes on that team. I guarded a guy who, this is at 18 years old, yeah? He was 6'8" and 250 pounds. So, I mean, listen, you could just imagine the freaks that you got out of these places coming out in high school. But because their strength and conditioning programs are like second to none, they are top notch. Like, I wish we had that in England. Like, if we did, then England would be competing a lot more highly in all the other sports, 100%, or like would have more strong athletic guys. Because yeah, they like, but it was good because it taught me how to power clean properly. It taught me how to do all these different moves. I mean, listen, my bench max when I went out there was 185 pounds. When I left, it was about 255. So within the space of 2 years, I had a massive, dramatic improvement. Obviously, there's a bit of technique involved, obviously a bit of strength involved, but I became way more athletic. And I think that has definitely paid dividends to my overall style of how I fight right now. But yeah, so when I was 18, I pretty much got straight back into it, started training with my dad and stuff like that. And then, yeah, slowly things just started building up from there. I think, I only just started training, I think just before I turned, or just as I turned pro, or just before I turned pro, I started training with Hodger Gracie, like doing sparring. And then that's where I met Linton Vassell, Marcin Lazars, Denison Sutherland, and then eventually, sort of Danny Batten. And then that's how the relationship sort of started for me to start going over to BST. And then now it's become a vital part of my training. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey, but yeah, that's literally the gist of it.
Wow.
Sorry, Sam, go on.
I was about to say, so from like when you came back and started training, like when was that first decision to have your first fight, and like how did that sort of conversation come about?
Right, well, it was always I was 18, so it was always in my head. My dad says, listen, first I need to get back in shape. Oh my Lord. Literally, as soon as basketball season was over, I had about 2 months left just to basically chill and enjoy my life in high school in America for about 2 months till I came back home. So what did I do? Literally every day after school, didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just banging out the weights. I was just trying to get big. That was my main goal, was just trying to get massive. And yes, I got massive, but at the same time, my cardio was absolutely horrendous. So when I came back into training, I was like throwing up, and it was like really, really bad. But then I got in shape. I started all the training. I got very motivated and this and that. And then, when my dad felt that I was obviously I still had the skill set like ingrained in me. And then it was just a case of just adding the building blocks on top of it. So, and just getting back into it. So when my dad felt I was ready, we decided to go and fight. So, back in the day, so my first fight I had was when I was 18. At amateur, or they called it semi-pro or whatever. Ended up knocking out the guy in the first round, and that pretty much just started my journey. The second fight I had was against a guy called Miroslav Stoikov, and he was a very top-level wrestler. And at this point, my wrestling defense wasn't exactly the best. I mean, I kicked him to the head and like it cut his head open, but the rest of it, he basically just took me down and held me on the floor. I had no sort of sense of urgency to get back up to my feet. Again, I was very early in my career. I was still 18 at that point. But one thing that people don't know about me is that I've actually had a heart problem for literally my whole life. And I had it from when I was born, and, I had heart palpitations, basically. I had an arrhythmia. So basically, my dad at that point, so that was after my second fight, because I actually, like, whenever I feel like my heart, can you imagine I was competing at all these like top level sports and doing this and that, all with a heart problem. So basically when I got how to explain, or how the doctors explain it to me, is that your heart has like a circuit, and every time it goes around that circuit, that's a beat. Yeah. So mine had an external circuit. So when it got to like a certain heart rate, instead of it going around the normal, going around the little one, and it'd just be like, it would like beat very hard, fast against my chest, feel very dizzy, faint. Like, I literally, no one knew what the problem was. No one knew what was going on. The doctors kept on just telling me, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. Just do a couple of these, breathing exercises and you'll be fine. I kept doing it. Yeah, like the palpitations would go away, but then it would always come back again. It's like, I wanted to compete and train at like the highest level and really put myself out there, and I couldn't do it. I'd always have to get stopped at a certain point. And, you know, if it would have happened in a fight, which, you know, it did a little bit in that Stoikov fight, like, if it didn't go away straight away, that would have been very dangerous. Like, to have heart palpitations in the middle of a fight, like, the guy could have, you know, done some damage. So it was a very worrying thing. So me and my dad we went in on all the doctors, like, properly, like, went to the GP, we wrote letters, we went quite mad, because we were like, because the first doctor was like, oh, we just take a couple of blood tests, and then afterwards everything came back normal as expected, and he goes, oh yeah, you'll be fine. And I'm like, no, I won't be fine. I'm like, you know, I want to train at the highest level.
Yeah.
I want to compete at the highest level. So then we went to another doctor, and she was actually very sympathetic towards us, took us to like a heart specialist. And we told them specifically, we need to do like a 24-hour monitor. You are not going to get this on me doing like a fitness test, because your fitness tests are nothing. Like, for me, that's like, do you know what I mean? It's like a walk in the park. I need something that's going to induce the palpitation. Finally, they listened to us. They put the heart rate monitor, and lo and behold, they found the palpitation in the thing that we done for 24 hours. So I'm like, if we would have done this like years ago, we might have got this sorted. But I can understand that, you know, with the NHS, obviously free healthcare and stuff like that, they don't want to waste money on an operation where they don't feel like, for example, I could have easily lived my life with this problem, and it wouldn't have really affected me, like, in terms of if I'm just a regular Joe. But when we strained to them, like, this is my last chance to become a professional athlete, I want to, like, you know, we are really going for this, then they took sympathy towards that. And then, you know, I have to thank the NHS. They've really pulled through for me on a number of occasions. I mean, even now during this whole situation, they're doing an amazing job. So you got to thank all those guys. But yeah, then I got basically I had an operation for 4 hours where I was awake the whole bloody time. They numbed the inside of my legs. They put wires up my groin, so basically going up into my heart, all whilst I was awake. And then they had to basically like move the wires and, like, you know, like basically put like electromagnetic waves into my heart to induce the palpitation. And then they had to burn off the external pathway. So, and there was one point where like they induced the palpitation to a point where it just didn't stop. And I was like feeling faint and dizzy, and like I was crying. It was bad. And then next thing you know, they said, listen, we're just going to put you to sleep and shock you back to regular rhythm. I'm like, oh my God, like, what's going on here? So they shocked me back to regular rhythm, woke me up, found the pathway, burn it off. And then luckily from that point onwards, I've never had this problem ever again. But it was just a mad thing, like, you know, to you know, to sort of think that was needed. Like, that was a vital point to get me to further my MMA career, was I needed to get this sorted. I remember the first run that I went on after I'd healed up from the operation, this and that, mate, I felt like, you know, freaking Rocky music was playing in the background, like da da da, like freaking, like, literally having the time of my life. It was amazing because I didn't feel any palpitations, and I've not felt it since then. So again, massive credit to them. But yeah, going back to the question about, like, you know, the fights. But then after that, I went undefeated after that point as an amateur. So my overall record was 7-1, and I won the belt at WCMMA and defended it. And after that, I remember I had so this was just before I turned 21. I was supposed to have a fight at Christmas, and the guy didn't show up on the day. Like, literally, I'd weighed in everything. The guy didn't show up. And then, and there was a big problem of me getting opponents at that point. Anyways, no one wanted to really fight. So at that point, I was like, listen, I can't do anything other than go pro. And me and my dad both agreed and said, you know, we basically said, listen, we need to go pro. So then at 21, I turned pro. Before that, before I went for my pro debut, I went out to Brazil at Team Nogueira. I got to train with the likes of Rafael Cavalcante. You know, I had Anderson Silva watching my sparring with him. I had like some crazy, like mad sparring sessions. But, you know, obviously it was like, you know, some foreign kid coming into the gym. They're thinking, all right, we're going to show him what's what. And, you know, but it was nice because I had to go through that. Really brought out, like, you know, sort of the aggressiveness about me and stuff like that. And, you know, going into a camp where where literally there's only like a couple of fighters on the edge, like, and there's only 2 fighters in the cage at a time. You're literally just going bang for bang with someone else. And so, you know, it was a great experience. And, you know, like I say, I managed to earn all their respect by the end of the trip, just from, you know, showing myself out in all the sparring sessions and stuff like that. I mean, there was one point, like, I was going into the cage, and I was about 92 kgs at that point, because I was fighting at middleweight. So I think, yeah, 92, 93 kgs. And then I looked at the sparring part. This was sparring day. I looked at it. There was about 5 guys that were roughly my size. I thought, okay, I'll probably spar one of them. Then next thing you know, you've got some fucking, like, monster of a guy, like, looks about 108 kilos, walking to the cage, fucking, like, muscled up and everything. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Like, have you not seen how small I am in comparison to this guy? And then next thing you know, we start. He's very respectful. He's a very nice guy. But, I mean, bloody hell, he looked mean walking into that cage. I was like, fucking hell, here we go. And then next thing you know, we start sparring. And then by the second round, he dipped for a takedown. I side kicked him, but I side kicked him to the face. And he, like, dropped him. And then literally the whole gym just went quiet. I'm like, all right, Dad, are we going to have to run, or what's going to happen now? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, and then, like I said, I just managed to earn their respect. And that was a big sort of thing going out my whole, that's been a running theme of my whole career, really, is earning people's respect. So, but I've had some crazy experiences, and they've all led to this point. And then, yeah, that's how my sort of runs sort of continued forward in my pro career.
Awesome. Just to touch on it, like, we went a bit further past it with Simon's questions. When you obviously went over to America to become an NCAA Division 1, that's what you was looking for. Was you an NBA and NFL fan? What sort of teams did you support?
Yeah, so I was a big fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not, you know, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, you only like it for LeBron James, but I'm like, nah, man. Like, they had Kyrie Irving, that's some real good players. And NFL. Obviously in America, they'll, like, especially in Louisiana, they were big on their football. Like, their LSU was their big college football team, and I used to support them, and I'll do like tailgating and stuff like that, which was really fun. But yeah, so the main team obviously was New Orleans Saints. Everyone used to think, oh yeah, this year's going to be the year that they're going to do it, and then every year they seem to, like, blow it up. But ever since they won the Super Bowl that year, they haven't managed to sort of bring it back. But yeah, so it was pretty much the New Orleans Saints and LSU and Cleveland Cavaliers was sort of like my team sort of growing up. And I still sort of follow it a little bit, but mate, when I'm so sort of engulfed in fighting now, I don't really pay attention too much to those sports. It's funny how madly interested I was with it back then, but now I don't really pay too much attention to it.
I've always been a fan of basketball as a sport, but because in the UK it's not really shown. It's on Sky Sports, but it's not really shown at our convenient times, so it's hard to follow. Yeah. But I think it was earlier this year, the XFL return, what Vince McMahon owns, and I'm a big wrestling geek. So I watched that a little bit and understood it, because they were sort of explaining the sport as a newbie. So I was speaking to my mates, like, what team should I support when the NFL comes back? And I did actually pick the New Orleans Saints. So yeah. I ordered the jersey for it. I'm waiting for it to come from Fanatics. I just thought I'll just go full in with it. There's reasons why, because I'm a wrestling fan, and they did great WrestleManias in New Orleans. When I fought, my nickname was the Saints, so Saints. It all just seems to work.
Oh, it all fits in together, isn't it?
And the black and gold is a cool look. So
yeah, exactly. They got some pretty cool jerseys as well. So I'm sure you're going to be looking fly when you're going around on the high street with your Saints jersey.
That's why I wanted to ask you. I was intrigued to see who you supported and the reasons why. But turning to the pro side then, and you mentioned, and me as a promoter, I know how hard it is at amateur and pro. It's normally certain weight divisions. The females are always hard to match, the flyweights, and then you've got like light heavyweights and heavyweights, sometimes middleweights. You said at amateur you were struggling. You moved to pro. Did you find that sort of transition, it made it easier? Or because of your amateur record, it seems to follow you into pro? I'm not fighting that guy on my debut. I'm not fighting that guy.
No, well, I mean, my debut, everyone was like, because I started my career at middleweight, but you know, basically they only had tough opponents for me. So like when we asked Dave O'Donnell for my debut, he goes, I mean, listen, we got fights for you, but these guys have got like some pretty, you know, they've either had a load of fights or whatever, or they've got good records, or they've just been established and stuff like that. So realistically, again, my pro debut, everyone thought I was going to lose because the guy that I was up against was a 2-0. He knocked those guys both out, and he was from the MMA clinic, and he was just about to get signed to Cage Warriors. So a lot of people will sort of question, why the hell is this geezer taking this fight? Like, does he know what he's up against, sort of thing? And then it become a big surprise to everyone. I think that's what sort of caught the attention of maybe Graham Boylan a little bit earlier on in my career, was because I'd beaten essentially the guy that they were going to try and promote in middleweight in Cage Warriors. So, you know, that was like a very sort of tough fight. Afterwards, it wasn't necessarily a hard thing to find opponents. You know, they found another guy who was a debut guy. I think he was 1-0. So it was quite easy to then find those opponents. You know, I had Kez Mambo, who had like quite a massive record. I had Dave Rintel, again, quite a massive record. When it got to the point of finding better opponents, then I guess you could say maybe it got a little bit more difficult. So I remember, I mean, when I had my first 2 defeats, again, they seemed to find that, like, there's not many guys who like step in on last minute notice either. I remember I had an opponent for my first Cage Warriors fight, and then it changed like literally within the last week.
John Redmond is not really. He's been around the game a long time, and to someone to throw him in your area, he's the sort of guy who will take a last minute fight. But what a challenge that must have been.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, like, you know, to be honest, the Pavel Dorofte fight, I definitely feel skill-wise, you know, I had all the abilities there, all the tools. You know, I just gone out and sparred with John Jones for 10 weeks, pretty much being one of his main sparring partners. I felt that, you know, like I was on top of the world. Like, you know, I'd got to gain such great insight and experience, but mentally, I don't think I was just all there. Like, in terms of in the fights and stuff like that, there's a lot of things that I needed to sort of overcome mentally that I hadn't sort of improved upon yet. And yeah, so I ended up obviously losing that fight. I just wasn't in it from the beginning. And then when I got that quick turnaround with John Redmond, again, like, mentally, something I was more looking forward for after the fight as opposed to the fight itself. Like, it was a really weird sort of situation. Then, you know, from the looks of it, you know, I was winning the fight leading up to when he caught me with that right hand. But it taught me it taught me a lot of things. I improved so many different areas of my game, like in terms of I was way too overtrained. As if that's one piece of advice I can give to younger fighters is, listen, you do not want to overtrain. You're not a bitch if you don't, you know, if you miss a training session because your body just can't handle it anymore. I used to go into training sessions, I remember, as a middleweight, trying to cut weight, and you're just not paying attention. You just don't want to learn anything. You're just there because you have to do a session. It shouldn't be like that. You have to be there and try and get as much as you want out of it. So that was that. Nutrition I changed. And one big thing was boxing sparring, because those guys literally just try and kill you. And that mentality of not being a sportsman, not being like oh yeah, let's be respectful. Forget all that. Respect like literally goes out the window when you go in the ring. You've literally got to try and finish the guy, and if you're not, then that guy's going to finish you. That's literally what sparring sessions are like. It's not good to have too many of those, but you need it. I needed it mentally to get over the barrier of, you know, being like that nice guy. No, you need to be a ruthless killer in there, and you can't go any other way about it. Or at least for me to perform at my best, that's what I need to do. But anyway, so then I had like a long, like a long time away from fighting. I think, you know, I'd upset quite a few people when I lost my debut, and then it became very hard for me to get a fight. And then at the beginning of the next year, they were like, okay, we're going to get ready for you to have a fight. Then I tore my meniscus. Then I pretty much broke up with a girlfriend I've been together for 5 years. Lost a sponsor, which basically took away the ability for me to train full time. Had no job, no money. So I literally, I was away for quite a while. But then when I came back, you know, like I said, they gave me, you know, step up in competition with each opponent, you know, and stuff like that. But after, like, when it got to the end of the year, I think it was 2018, they get, you know, Cage Warriors couldn't find me an opponent, or they couldn't get me a fight, or I don't know what the reason was. And then And then they said, listen, you're allowed one fight outside your contract. That's the only reason why I took the Fight Star Championship fight. And, you know, it was good, like, you know, because I went and fought for the belt there. And then they gave me Dan Kaneki, which was another step up in competition, which was good. And I managed to finish him in the first round. But then, you know, me and my dad, we sort of got a little bit, you know, we got a bit agitated. We're like, listen, okay, so now we beat these three guys, you know, with sort of, you could say good records, but not the best records and this and that. You know, they're tough guys, but just, you know, like, you know, not exactly the, you know, the records are going to get you noticed, you know, in terms of who you're beating. And then my dad goes, listen, we want a hard, like, opponent. Give us someone good. Like, we're ready for it. If you don't believe in us, fine. We're going to prove it to you. They gave us Marcin Wojciech, which is a very dangerous opponent. We got exactly what we wanted. And, you know, for the majority of the fight, I was losing. And then next thing you know, I had a massive flurry at the end of the second round when he got tired and finished him with a spinning back kick. Which had been a shot that we've been practicing for the longest time to land, and to get the precise, accurate pinpoint location for that is very difficult, because you miss it by 1 or 2 inches here or there, you're not going to get the liver and you're not going to be able to get the knockout. And it was only after that, you know, like that I was able to get the Cage Warriors title shot, because I'd beaten Wojciech. And, you know, like I said, up until that point, really, no one really believed in me. No one really cared about what I was doing. And then I was a massive underdog, beat the guy that everyone thought was going to win and go off to the UFC. And then it completely shifted momentum. It's like, where the hell did this guy come from? And then next thing you know, another tough opponent in Nasilia. So really last year was sort of my breakout year, about beating guys that were at the top level. Like, it was very hard at the beginning because they sort of needed to see where I was at and stuff like that. And, you know, like I said, there's not a massive talent pool. You know, there's not a massive talent pool in the light heavyweight division, especially in Cage Warriors. I think I was only the main guy. Like, there's no one else now. Like, if you look at the light heavyweight division now, who is it? Who's there? I would love to see those guys fight each other, the ones that I beat, because I think that would be really quite interesting. But, you know, I was the only guy that was signed to that 5-fight deal. And then they were like literally trying to find opponents for me. I think they did find it quite difficult finding opponents for me. Hamlet was sort of a guy that was projected to be like a superstar and stuff like that, so it was quite easy to get him. But in terms of like Nasilia, they had to, like, you know, Graham said that he had to dig deep to find that one, and, you know, even finding Wojciech to go and fight. So, you know,
No worries.
We've got you back. No stress, no stress.
Where do I get up to?
So I was going to ask you just before you went on to the title fights. You, around the losses, you moved sort of from middleweight to light heavyweight. What was the reason behind that? That's what I'm interested in there.
Okay. Well, so when I got injured, there's not much that you can do in terms of, you know, stuff on your feet or running or whatever. So me and my dad came up with innovative ways of how to train, and we'll do pad work from sitting down on a chair. We'll do, like, you know, weights from sitting down on a chair. And, like, we never really introduced strength and conditioning properly until, like I say, after the second loss. And then I don't know, I naturally filled out. Like, I became a lot bigger and heavier and, like, stronger, again, just from those sitting down exercises. And then when it came to the point where I was able to do everything from standing, I'd, like, filled out in areas where I didn't fill out before. And I think, you know, as the age, you know, like getting to 24 and stuff like that, 25, like, my body just naturally sort of filled out. Like, for me to make middleweight right now, I would literally have to chop an arm off. Like, I would not be able to make middleweight any other way. Like, it is literally, I don't even want to think about that. It's difficult enough for me to make light heavyweight now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, over the course of the years, it's been harder for me to make light heavyweight. Like, even now, like, as I'm getting, like, I'm looking lean as hell, and the next thing you know, you're still 218, 217. I'm like, well, now I know the struggle of these, you know, lighter guys who are really lean, who are like 12, 13 pounds over when they have to cut weight. I never had that problem until now, really. So I think it's just a case of my body naturally developing, filling out in areas where, you know, I gotten strong in areas where I wasn't so strong before, and stuff where my dad saw I was lacking. So I guess you could say the areas that needed to be sort of, you know, fill in the gaps almost, finally got to have those gaps filled in. So, yeah, that's what inevitably gave me the move. And like I said, I'd rather have an easy weight cut. I don't want to I don't want to be stressing. Like, I used to die making middleweight as well. Like, light heavyweight just seemed like the most like logical thing to do. And then when I go into fights, I can actually perform and feel good and not worry about what the hell I'm eating afterwards. Like, I don't give a crap about what I'm going to go and binge on afterwards. All I'm giving a crap about is what I need to go and do inside the cage. So, yeah, it's a lot of things. Like, overall, like, mentally, it is just a much better thing for me to move up to, like, and listen, I've been sparring with guys like Linton Vassell, like Hodger Gracie, bloody John Jones, and you know, I'm my strength matches there. So why do I need to fight a middleweight? What sort of advantage am I going to get? Do you know what I mean?
You always see the elite fighters, especially in the UFC and stuff, talk about there should be a 165 division because the gap between 150 and 170 and everything in between. Especially as you get the higher weights, the gap's bigger, especially in middleweight and light heavyweight. Yeah. Being an elite fighter like you, do you feel like the gap between 205 and 265 is too big and maybe something needs to go in there? Maybe like a 225 cruiserweight. What do you think?
Well, to be honest, if you look at most of the guys who went, I mean, listen, yeah, you've got guys like Curtis Blades, 251 and stuff like that. But, you know, for the most part, you look at Stipe, what, he's 235? I mean, I think you had a couple of guys that are like 230 or whatever. Most guys, like, they're just a bit, like, bigger. I guess they've got a bit more body fat, and then they do go up to 250 and stuff like that. But realistically, I think the leaner heavyweights are a bit like, I think Ngannou was like 240 something or whatever. I mean, I guess they could make a 225 weight class, but like it would just make it too clustered, I think. At the end of the day, listen, if you're a heavyweight, you know, you're a heavy, like, if I would walk around like quite naturally and lean at about 230 or, you know, something like that, then I would probably consider you know, maybe fighting at some point in my career at heavyweight, maybe later on in my career, who knows. But like, realistically, right now, me, I'm like my leanest, like, I'm talking when I'm like next, like, you know, pretty much my fight shape right now is about, you know, 217, 215. So you can't really, you know, sort of you can't really go to a heavyweight from there. But I think, you know, the fact that there's less weight classes is actually a better thing. It means, like, you know, the champions it means a lot more. Do you know what I mean? And I think people who are a bit lighter in the heavyweight division, they have more of a speed advantage as opposed to the bigger guys and stuff like that. Like I said, strength only goes so far. I've sparred heavyweights, so you know, and UFC heavyweights as well, like Arlovsky and stuff like that. You know, strength isn't really much of a factor. It's just the actual overall weight. And if you look at some of these heavyweights, if they became a bit leaner, they would only be about 230, maybe 225. So, you know, I think, yeah, obviously size does play a factor. But again, if you're training in a way where you're able to handle these different weights and these different shifts in, you know, explosiveness and stuff like that, you'll be able to handle it. So, yeah, I don't think there's even like the 165, again, all these divisions. This is why, like, how many champions do you know in boxing? Do you know what I mean? Really,
great point.
Do you know what I mean? Like, right now, I mean, if you're talking specific, like, Anthony Joshua is like the kingpin of boxing because it's the heavyweight title, because most people pay attention. But about the super welterweight, like light, middle, all this stuff, like, I'm just like, I mean, do you know what I mean? It's a bit too much. It's a bit too much to handle. I mean, especially for like sort of the average fight fan, what really they're going to follow. And it looks much better as well in the UFC. They've got their legitimate champions. You can put them all on one poster and you'll know exactly who everyone is. Yeah. And it's very clear and decisive. Whereas, yeah, like I say, in boxing, I just have no idea. I mean, the only ones I follow is the heavyweights. That's it.
Yeah, we discussed this on the podcast a few months ago, where boxing as a discipline is great, but as a sport, it's too watered down. I can't argue there's too much money involved, because obviously there's good money involved for the fighters, but then the money starts to become a control about what fights and then who signs to who and who's got broadcast deals, and it gets too messy. Whereas in the UFC, yeah, it's got a monopoly on most of it. It's more straightforward. You know what you're going to get. You know where you build up to, and you know what the king is, rather than like, I don't know, the silver champion, the intercontinental champion. It's just too much, and I feel like you should. The only thing I did like was like what Bama did. You had a Lonsdale belt, which is like the build-up belt, and then you got that, and you more or less got a title shot. It was like ready for the champion. That's the only thing I think would work, but maybe not in the UFC. But it's weird right now. Obviously, you're starting your career in the UFC. Someone that you train with and been a training partner to get them ready is John Jones. Would you go for that fight? Obviously, if he's still champion, whenever you're ready for it.
Yeah, I think it's always like a fantasy type thing. It's always like one of your biggest dreams to, the saying, when your idols become rivals. Like, that would be, like, we had like an amazing training session. We made such a good connection. We became very friendly with each other. He gave me so many golden nuggets. And like, I was still coming up. I was very young. He was still young, obviously, when I sparred with him, but like, I was much younger. So it would be nice in terms of competition, with the utmost respect, to go in and find out what the fight would have been like in real life, in the cage, in front of everyone. I think that would be just an amazing experience in itself. Like, imagine that, like, you're fighting the guy that you've been looking up to literally my whole career. So it would be nice to see how I fare against him in that environment, in that situation. So, like, I think that's a big dream for any fighter. Any fighter coming up, their idol, they would love to fight them at some point, because you want to class yourself, or want to try and really test yourself as a person. You only got one shot at life to do this. So, why not fight the best in the world? And to be able to fight the GOAT, that would be like the most amazing experience ever.
No, definitely. I touch on what you were saying about the sparring before as well, where, like you're saying, you need to have that sort of heavy hitting rounds. Like, I'm a firm believer of that as well. Like, you can't wait until you're in the lights and the spotlight before you get hit properly to sort of test your reaction to that. So what's your sort of thoughts on everyone that's trying to get into fighting now, complaining about sort of the heavy sparring round because of CTE and things like that?
I would say I have a mixed view on that, because I believe you need the heavy sparring, but you don't need it necessarily so often. Like you said, you need to be prepared for when you go in there, to feel the blows, to feel what it's going to be like in that situation, because you need to sort of get yourself. I mean, listen, if you can mentally prepare yourself without needing that, then I think it's probably best to avoid it, because then it will keep your chin, better for longer. But if you're, for the most part, for most fighters, you have to admit, like, you're not going to be as mentally prepared unless you've been in the fire before. So I think, you need to have those sessions, but you just don't want to have it too crazy often. Like, you might have it like, a hard session, maybe like once a month. And then the other sessions are trying to technically pick up. But I mean, listen, some sessions you can't really, like, listen, although you're trying to control it with your training partner, sometimes you can't help it. You're going to bloody let fly. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just, it's a fighter's mentality. Do you know what I mean? I've got to get one back on him. But, I think you do have to sort of control it. Like, I'm not going to be doing any sparring after Wednesday until the fight. You got one big thing is to stay away from injuries. I think you can't kill yourself before you get into the cage itself. That's a big thing. So it's a very fine line between getting yourself mentally prepared, getting yourself ready for the shots that you're going to throw and how you're going to throw it, and knowing that when they land, they're going to hurt. But at the same time, you need to take precautions to not injure yourself. Not, some guys leave it all in the gym as well. Like, if you're sparring every day hard, that's not good. Like, you are literally just causing yourself. You are literally getting yourself prepared for injuries. You're getting yourself prepared to have brain damage later on. This is why I don't understand sometimes these boxing guys. They spar literally hard like that 4 times a week, and I'm like, well, this is why a lot of those guys end up having problems when they're older, because your body just can't take it. You have to look after it. I mean, listen, from 18 to 26, even then I'm noticing differences in my body. I can't eat nowhere near as much as I used to when I was younger, and like stay on the same weight and this and that. And that's just like 8 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, who knows what's going to happen in the next 8 years? And even injuries and taking care of your body, like things I used to think I'd never get injured, and the next thing you know, things start popping up. So, you've got to have it to get yourself mentally prepared for what's about to come in the fight, to get yourself ready, to get yourself confident for when you go and step into the cage. But you can't do like the full power crazy stuff. You can't be going and knocking out. I think as well, you got to keep the longevity of your training partners as well. You don't want to go. But if anything, just take more precautions. Wear the headgear, wear the stuff, wear the appropriate stuff, wear the bigger gloves. Don't wear the small gloves and go bloody hit full power and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a mix between, like I said, the fine line between doing too much and just doing just that bit enough to get you ready mentally and physically and movement wise, because you can work a lot of stuff technically, like getting your movement, your footwork, and just stopping takedowns or whatever, because especially before the Hamlet fight, like I said, I had maybe I would say 4 hard sessions, like hard sparring sessions. But outside of that, it was technical, doing the right things, doing the right movements. So, yeah, man, I know that's a very controversial subject, but anyways, that's pretty much my view on it.
It's quite relevant, as in this past weekend. I don't know if any of you've seen it. I'm not really supposed to sound about it, but a guy that got pulled in on like 5 days' notice, Max Roach, he at the duel between the second and third round, he told his coach, "I'm out. I can't. There's nothing left in me," multiple times. I can see why his coach was saying, "No, you can do this," and that's sort of what you want in a coach. But after a few times saying, "No, I'm out," it got a bit uncomfortable. What's your thought on it, Modestas? And then same as you saying.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, your coach is obviously, the relationship you have with your coach is a very close relationship. Like, I can imagine with any coach, like, they're gonna know you inside out, your friends, your coaches and stuff like that. They're pretty much like family. So obviously the guy is trying to look out for you. But like, listen, when I had my pro debut, I won by decision. But at the beginning of the third round, I could barely walk. Like, my left leg was battered. Like, literally afterwards, I had such low blood pressure that I could barely stand up. Like, my leg was like an absolute watermelon. Now, you could argue, oh yeah, but obviously I didn't want to go out. But my dad was telling me, even at the end of the fight, like, because I wanted to, like, sort of go down on the floor because my leg hurt so bad, especially when the adrenaline dump just literally just kicked in. But he goes, "Modestas, stand the fuck back up. Like, you need to make it look good in front of the judges. Don't let them do that. They're just looking out for you." Like, at the end of the day, I think your coach is there to try and get the best out of you, to get the most out of you. Now, listen, when it came to Max calling, he went to the judge, the referee, and said, "I can't fight." So he did it on his own terms. Your coach is there to get the most out of you, to push you through those hard times. So, like, when you think you can't go no further, you can go that extra mile. Like, I understand, like, maybe, and his coach must have been confident in his fighter, like, to take that fight on such short notice. And not only that, to think, like, I know he's been in these situations before. I know he can do it. Otherwise, if he didn't think he could do it, I'm telling you right now, he probably would have said, "Okay, fine, we need to call the fight." But, like, I bet you there's probably been loads of situations where he's been in, like, a really tough spot, and his coach knows him, and he's like, "Do you know what? I know he can do this. I know he can pull through." I think, looking at the fight, how it went, it was very even going into that last round, right? You probably look at it like 50-50. The second round, he clearly got dominated, though. What would have happened in the third round is something that you maybe got to take into consideration. But, you know, your coach is there, like I said, to try and get you to go and perform and do your best and this and that. But then afterwards, it becomes a personal decision, because, you know, the referee goes and asks, "Are you okay?" And you say no, then it's okay. Then it's the referee's then job to then stop it and say, "This ain't going to go any further." The coach's job is trying to give you that will, that extra power, that extra strength, that extra something to make you go that extra mile and to really go and put it out on the line. Because let me tell you something, when that fight that I had my debut at the beginning of the third round, like, my leg was battered, like, genuinely battered. I like, literally, and my dad was giving me all sorts of encouragement. You've got to try and keep you calm, keep you on that's what they're there to do. So, you know, that is a very controversial thing. A lot of people say, you know, perhaps the coach should have stepped in and stopped it. But I think the way it played out, you can't really blame the guy. You know, he took it on a short notice, you know, fully thinking his fight is in good enough shape and good enough skill set to go and win the fight. He wouldn't say that if he didn't think that. No. So, you know, I think it was just good of the referee to step in and then say, "No, we can't do it."
Yeah. I think I'm in agreement with that. But, like, I'm also thinking that possibly in the second or third time when he turned to him and said, "Come on, you can do it," and he said to him, no, I think, my personal opinion is like, I think the coach should have said, do you know what, if he goes out there in this third round with this mindset, he's just going to just asking for an injury. So I think probably should have turned to him and said, you know what, rather than letting the fighter go to the referee, I think the coach probably should have called it on that second or third time that he said that he don't want to go out there. Because I say, like you said, he took it on short notice. Like he's still fairly young. It's his UFC debut. There's probably a shed load going through his head at the same time as well, especially that second round. Like you said, it was pretty one-sided. So
yeah, Robert Drysdale, his coach, was obviously he's been in the UFC, he's been training for years, he knows what that sort of mindset is. But I think you're right with the fact that if he went in that third round with that mindset, maybe injuries start happening. It was actually the athletic commission that obviously you have at each side of your corner that make sure there's no cheating or whatever. He overheard it and was like, "You don't want to fight, do you?" And he was like, "No." And he was like, "Right, I'm calling it." Went straight to the NSAC and was like, "It's done." It was interesting, especially after, I think it was around 3 weeks after the Anthony Smith thing, and should the towel been through in early because he was getting destroyed and injuries and stuff like that. And it's kind of like, maybe the coded thing, are people training fully? Is that creating, because it seems to have been quite a few times it's happened over the last couple of months, and maybe we just see how it goes on in the next few, and hopefully when things start lifting, we don't see it as much, or we start seeing the light on it. And maybe fighters, like you said before, you use the word as in, you're not a bitch if you don't do something. You have this mentality, if you're a fighter, you can't quit. And sometimes you need to quit to protect yourself. And only you know that. You're still going to live. Like you say, the peak for around a fight is around early 30s, that sort of age. If you know that's when you're going to be done, what do? You still got 40, 50, 60 years left. You don't want to be brain damaged. You want, again, it's prize fighting sport. You want to be paid. You want to live luxurious, but you want to stay healthy as well, even though you know the ramifications.
Yeah, no, I definitely, now that you've sort of made those points, both of you, I definitely agree. After maybe the second, third time after he'd said it, how much more motivation is your coach going to give you if the guy's literally just doesn't want to do it? And he might have got hit with some very hard shots. Maybe he was feeling dazed and confused, and we don't know about that. That's another thing. You know what I mean? Like, he could have been like in a really bad way, cardio wise. Like, he took some bloody shots. So, no one knows what the fight is feeling in there. The fact that he got in there on, like I say, a week's notice or whatever, like that's already a courageous move in itself. Obviously he wanted to get to the UFC and show himself out, but yeah, like you said, he'll live to fight another day. He'll recover from it, and yeah, it's better for the protection. It's weird because with Anthony Smith, like he was literally out of it like completely as well. But I think the referee should have stopped it way earlier.
Yeah,
like when a guy is handing you his own teeth. Like, in the middle of a fight, like, oh, no, sure, you're fine. You can keep going. Yeah, you got a couple of teeth missing, but you'll be fine. Just keep going. Just keep defending. Like, that's when I'm like, okay, that's when a fight really, like, what more could he have done? Especially when he's, like, falling all over the place. So, but then again, they need to,
Imagine the Bruce Buffer that you're winning by TKO due to weak cavities.
He better get himself another dentist. Oh, my Lord.
Loads of sponsors there trying to get hold of that. I'll sponsor you. It's a good point because you're at the point now where you're classed as an elite fighter, especially with COVID right now, of who can train, who can't train. You're an elite fighter. You've been in there. You know what you've been a world champion. You're aiming to go even further than that with the UFC. We had Sam Spencer on, who's a pro bantamweight, and I remember a couple of years ago in the first round, one of the uppercut shots broke his jaw completely there, and he won by decision. And in the second round, he was putting like a face crushing sort of standing guillotine against the cage. He was sat down. There's no if he would have said, right, I'm done, there would have been no harm in that. And if Max would have carried on, there was you don't get these stories about these things happening, and that's what we love about the sport. But people seem to think, oh, this guy went through this, so why can't that guy? People are built differently. There's loads of elements. You don't know what happened in training. Like, for instance, argument's sake now, you go in this fight with a niggle, and then it becomes even worse in the fight, but you knew it was there. That mentally plays on your kind of stand on my foot because of that. There's so many things going on to it, and you'll know you never go into a fight 100%. You've always got something wrong.
Trust me. I think that's a fighter's curse, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's just like always having some sort of nagging injury that just keeps going on, but you just keep training through it because you can't say, you know what I mean? You can't say no. Number one, you got to make some money, or not only that, like, you know, you want to perform, you've only got a short time to do it, so you don't want to spend time out and this and that. I mean, bloody hell, I dislocated my knee 3 weeks before my title fight against Nasilia. Shout out to Leanne with Distinct Physiotherapy. She got me like properly back on point. With 3 weeks to go, like realistically, a lot of people would have said you shouldn't have took that fight, but that was the fight that got me in the UFC. So, you know, as much as it was playing on my mind, and even when I was doing like my warm up in the morning, I felt it dislocate again. I'm like, oh, this is not what I need. Like, you know, the day of the fight. But then, yeah. But when I got into the change room and stuff like that, I went over the stuff that I'd visualized. I felt like I almost felt like I'd already been there because I visualized it so much. It felt like deja vu. I'm like, if you're going to a fight having deja vu of you winning, there's no really any better feeling than that, really. Do you know what I mean? All I have to go out there now is just do it in real life and perform. So, yeah, man, like a lot of fighters go through a lot of stuff, and like you said, you know, people are built differently and stuff like that. But then again, you don't know what people are going through. That's why you got to just take everything with a pinch of salt. Like at the end of the day, fighter safety and just human safety in general is a big factor. So you got to give credit to anyone who willingly goes inside a cage and wants to fight someone. I mean, anyone who does that, like as that's the most brutal thing you can do. It, like I said, it's modern day gladiators. Back in the day, they used to do it, you know, half naked with swords and shields. But now we're doing it, you know, in a much more modern time era where safety is sort of paramount. But still, bad things happen. So, you know, like I said, anyone doing that for people's entertainment and for, you know, sometimes they're getting paid well, but it's not like, you know, when you get to the UFC, you do get paid well, and you got to be confident in yourself and go and do it. But, you know, at the end of the day, to the point where you can finally make it like literally you're living that luxurious lifestyle, you know, you got to have a load of different factors to go along with it. You got to be marketable. You got to win your fights. There's so many things that go into it. It's a crazy thing. Like us fighters, we should be messed up in the head. Like literally, we probably are messed up in the head, to be honest with you. I mean, I definitely know I'm not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed sometimes, but you know, so it's a crazy situation. So you got, like I said, you just got to give credit to everyone that even attempts to do this sort of thing, because I know a lot of people who, after maybe, you know, one or two. For the people who carry on doing it, it's really quite a credit to everyone who goes in there and competes.
No, definitely. So looking ahead then, in the next couple of weeks, you're on Yas Island. When do you sort of fly out there then to sort of get acclimatized, and what's the process of getting like the visa and everything sorted for that?
Well, so apparently we don't need any visas. Apparently it's you just take a straight flight. The second thing though is that the UFC, what I've noticed is, even when I was about to fight in San Diego, they only wanted us to get there on the Tuesday before the fight, which was on the Saturday. Oh. So in this particular case, I'm fighting on a Wednesday and I'll get there on a Saturday. So again, realistically, it's not that much time, I guess you could say, to sort of climatize and get used to the environment or anything like that. I mean, I'm not sure how, maybe in the future, I don't know how fighters, do they go early themselves, or, you know, or how does that all work out? Maybe, you know, like I say, once I start getting getting them win bonuses and stuff like that, maybe I can sort out my own sort of flights for me and my team to come out, like maybe a couple of weeks. I think if it was a place with like a very high altitude or something like that, where you need to get used to it, I probably would go out like a little bit earlier. But here, you know, the only main thing is just the bloody temperature. I mean, I've heard it's like, you know, about 30 odd degrees, but then again, it's going to be 30 odd degrees out here. And listen, in this gym that I got in my house, there is no air conditioning, and the walls have been specifically made thicker so that it cancels out the noise. Wow. So you got a thick ass building with all this heat just harboring inside this room. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I don't think I'll be I'll be too unfamiliar with what could possibly be the climate in Dubai. And at the end of the day, you got to think about Dana White. He wants these fighters to put on the best performance possible. Now, when there was talk about, oh yeah, we're going to put a cage on the beach and all that, and it was a nice thought to have, but realistically, how are you going to do that infrastructure-wise? You know what I'm saying? So, it's going to be in an arena. It's going to be with air conditioning. The fighters need to be able to perform. So that I have to admit, though, if we're talking about performance, though, when I fought at the Apollo, I was lucky. So when I first fought at the for the Cage Warriors title, it was at the Apollo. That was one of the hottest days of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Literally a year ago in 6 days. So yeah, it's about around now time.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I remember luckily, because I was fighting for a title, I had a room upstairs, air conditioning, TV, pool table on the side. So it was all right. I had fans in there, but oh my Lord, I feel for some of the other fighters. They had tents outside. Yeah. They're literally like tents, like, for the changing rooms. The only changing rooms that they had indoors with the air conditioning was for the title fights. The rest of the fighters were outside in this bloody scorching ass heat in these tents, getting ready to go. And I'm like, oh my Lord, warming up must have been absolutely dreadful. Like, especially for those fighters, I was like, even me just sitting there waiting to get my hands right, I'm like, bloody, I'm sweating my ass off out here. So, like I say, I know that though, in the UFC, they'll take all the necessary precautions, in terms of, keeping the fighters, 100% healthy in terms of not only for COVID, but like obviously they'll have an arena which will be at a climate that is able for you to perform. And but look, at the end of the day, with a fight as a fighter and as a mentality, you got to adapt and overcome with any situation. So whatever occurs, mate, do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'll be ready for it. I think the main thing that's going to be a bit of a weird thing is that I'm going to be fighting at 5 a.m. local time.
That's one thing I was going to speak to you about. So it's a bit like when Bisping fought over against Hendo in Manchester, which is where we're from. It was like 6 a.m. and he got into the cage. It's crazy. I was in Dubai with one of my friends who's a fighter, Aaron Abian and Steve Nightingale, in February. So the heat wasn't as bad then, but you could tell it was hot, and the air conditioning over there is brilliant when you need it. Your main event of the prelims, which going into the main card, which is an amazing feat for your debut, because the amount of record fights that go on that to lead into the pay-per-view so people buy it, or the main card anyway, that's a massive thing. As it will be, what will it be, 5 a.m. to you, but what will it be in Abu Dhabi, about 1 p.m. theirs?
So basically they're 3 hours ahead. So in London time, I know that the main card, the main card will start at 3 a.m. London time. Wow. So my fight will most likely be 2 a.m., between 2 and 3 a.m. our time, which means in Dubai that's 3 hours ahead, so it'll be like 5 a.m. So yeah, and I think that they're showing all of the prelims, I believe, on BT Sport. So the prelims will start at like 12 at night. So yeah, it's crazy how, because obviously they're doing it for the American fans, Eastern time.
Yeah.
I think Eastern time the prelims start at 7 or whatever, and then the main card starts at 10 or whatever. So yeah, it's I think that would be one thing that's a bit of a crazy experience, but at the same time I'll have to obviously train to be able to fight at that time, which means I think even that whole week beforehand I'm gonna be training myself at bloody 5 a.m, and then that's it, you know what I mean? Maybe a little bit earlier, because like at the end of the day I'll have to like warm up and get ready, so I'll probably be doing all my training sessions like 4 a.m. So it's gonna, the eating and everything like that will have to be a little bit more fine-tuned. But look, as I say, I'm really excited to just take on new challenges and take on all these things, because mate, this is the thing about, when people talk about YOLO and they're all like, yeah, you only live once. Yeah, it's not all about, oh yes, taking a lot of drugs and fucking a load of bitches and, you know what I mean, like just like getting wasted, like, YOLO, real YOLO for me is just like living everything to like the max in terms of these experiences. Like often do you get to go to a bloody island, have your UFC debut, featured prelim, like anything that goes, like some people talk of it in a, like, you know, like, oh, you're going to be fighting at this time in the morning. Is that going to be difficult? I'm like, hell no. For me, it's all an experience. The whole environment, everything that I've got to do, I'm ready to take it on, like head on. I just can't wait to just fully experience, live in the moment and enjoy all of it. Like the whole process is, I think it's even better when something is different because it gives you that level of excitement. Like, oh yeah, I get to do something that not everyone gets to do and stuff like that. I mean, even bloody Take Me Out, when I went on there, mate.
Oh, I remember that.
Like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, you saw my horrendous dance moves, of course. Yeah, my dad didn't teach me those ones. Those ones are sort of self-improvised. And yeah, the bad dancing doesn't run in the family. I think it's only me. But yeah, like even stuff like that, like I had to overcome a lot of like mental, you know, insecurities because when I was younger, I always used to want to be that cool guy. I wanted to be that guy with them groups and this and that. And I never was. I was always the dorky bloody kid who, you know, wasn't very athletic, good at martial arts, but never very athletic and stuff like that. I was never the cool kid with like the cool chat up lines. I was always the nice guy. And then next thing you know, like I took the most that I've sort of developed into my character and my personality was really over like the last 3 years, I'd say last 3-4 years. So, you know, every situation that gets put that's stressful, that causes anxiety, that's, you know, that's a bit crazy, I just embrace it. Like I love it. I love embracing really crazy situations where not many people are doing it, because at the end of the day, that's what experiencing life to the fullest is all about. Doing the most, you know, like I say, just like very, very hard things to do. I think that's where you get the most satisfaction. So like I say, I can't wait for everything to unfold, because it's just an amazing thing, isn't it? That's what makes life so beautiful.
If obviously you're saying that you most likely will get there on the Saturday before now, which is UFC 251, and what a great card that's been put together. Based on when I travelled over there in the times between Britain and Dubai and Abu Dhabi, you probably get there towards around 10-ish anyway, give or take. That's when they sort of seem to land their time. So you might actually be able to catch some of it. Would you, if you could, try and get to that arena and take it in so you've got the feel for in 5 days' time? Or would you rather stay away from that?
I think I would love to get the feel for the arena, to be honest with you. Like every time before a fight, I think every fighter does it. Before on fight day, you go into the cage, you feel it out and this and that. But I think the more you get yourself familiarized with the place and the arena, the better you can visualize it, actually. Like, I actually wanted to try and get into the Apollo myself to just see, and because I could feel and like, you know, like feel everything out in my mind of where everything's going to be, how everything's going to be set out. And yeah, I actually saw a video of James Webb put up before, like of him in the arena and stuff like that. So, you know, I think it is a very vital thing because, like I said, it just makes everything more real. Like when I visualize it and I'm looking on you know, going through the whole process of the whole fight in my head before the fight comes round, it will be like as if I've already been there before. And that's what I want. When you're familiarized with it, it doesn't become much of a surprise to you or much of a shock. So the more you get used to the feelings that you're going to get, the arena, the lights and this and that, the better it is for you to go and perform, because like I say, you've been there before. So now all you got to do is just show out the best of yourself. So, yeah, I think, like I said, visualization plays a big part. And I think going into the arena beforehand will help me get a better mental picture of what it's all going to be about.
With that, talk about the visualization as well. Do you try and have that as like part of a vital part of your fight camp? And is there like, was there sort of like a pivotal point where you sort of realised that the benefits of it and things like that?
Yeah, I think I really noticed it whenever I had my first injury, when I had my injury with the meniscus. Literally, I couldn't do nothing. Like I was literally bedbound for quite a while, and I couldn't do no physio for a while and stuff like that. It was in a split. It was like in a cast splint thing. So my dad would always preach to me, Modestas, all the moves that you've been training, go through it in your head. Like, don't just sit there and not do nothing. Actually go through it in your head and sit there and actually pretend like you're doing it. And I'm like, at first I thought, like, what's this geezer going on about? Do you know what I mean? Like, I literally thought that, you know, surely there's not much substance to this. But then I thought, do you know what? Since I'm sitting here and I'm bloody Cocodamol anyways, I might as well try it, right? So and then yeah, like I noticed that when I went back to training, it's as if I never left. Like I drilled those moves so much in my head that when it came to actually doing it in training, I was doing what I practiced in my head. So it's mad. Like from that moment, I realized that visualization does play a massive part in the whole game. And I really studied, like I really did the visualization for the Hamlet fight and the Nasilia fight, and then now it's just become a part of my routine. Yeah, like I think you have to, like I said, familiarizing yourself with the environment and stuff like that will help you to handle your nerves a little bit better. I think that's one big thing in terms of when I sit down and visualize it. I mean, listen, even like the moves, like you can practice it physically as much as you want, but if you're not going over the mental reps either, like, you know, it's not really getting that. You need to get as stuck into your head as second nature as possible. The only way to do that is if you're literally going over it. Your body like will feel it in like through your mind, like you'll feel it through. And like even just like, you know, visualizing like the success, the fight, what happens afterwards, what happens before it, like even in my car on the way to train, and like listen to music, like getting yourself in the zone, like those are such important things. I think it does play a big part. Like I said, I mean, when you go into a fight, like feeling like you've had deja vu, like that's like I can't have any better of a sign than that. Do you know what I mean? Like everything was premeditated with my Nasilia fight. Like I literally, I dreamt that I was gonna jump over the cage and like start roaring to the crowd. I dreamt that I was gonna call for the UFC afterwards. Like all of that was like I already knew in my head this is what I wanted to do and what I was gonna do. And you know, even like the potential finishes and stuff like that, and potential what I need to do. And so, you know, it gets your body more prepped and prepared to do that in real life. So yeah, like I say, I've only really started introducing it a lot more after the sort of just before the Hamlet fight.
The Vinicius Moreira, who you are fighting, was that who you was planned to fight in San Diego?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
It's just been moved forward. What in the fact that you now it's the same opponent, has that sort of helped you mentally? You always knew that was going to be the same, or did you want a change up or anything like that?
Listen, I would have been absolutely fine if there would have been a change, but at the same time, it was good because my manager kept telling me, yeah, we're probably going to get the same opponent for you and this and that. So obviously, all the training that I'd done had already been specific to my opponent, anyways. So it just meant that I've had even longer time to prepare for that one specific opponent, which just means I'm even much more well prepared to go and handle it whenever it goes into the cage. It makes me even more confident, you know. So yeah, like I said, I would have been ready no matter who they would have put in front of me. But at the end of the day, I was training as if, you know, my opponent is the most dangerous fighter in the world. So that's how I normally train anyway. So I really had it in my mind, you know, who I was going to fight, what it's going to be like, what I need to work on, and this and that. So like I said, if anything, it's just made me even more prepared, which means I'm going to be even more deadly when it comes to fight night.
Yeah, the card, it's like it's in between sort of two-pack cards, 251, then it's you guys, and there's sort of two more after that. The card is sort of there as the up-and-comers. That's what it feels like, especially with the main event. You've got yourself, Molly McCann, Chris Fishgold, Lerone Murphy, who's from Simons and Woods in Manchester. And it's got around there veterans like you've got Tim Elliott, Carla Esparza, etc. What is it like to be on it's a great card for you to definitely stand out? And I've spoke to you about it before. I've got the fantasy thing where you're on my roster, so I need a first round finish. I need them high points.
Of course, mate. Of course, mate. I'm gonna get you that win, brother. Nah, like I think it's amazing. You know, like I say, to be even put as a featured prelim, I mean, it must show that there's some sort of interest in me, which again gives me even more excitement, and you know, makes me prepare even more specific and even better to go and fight, because you know, more eyes are on me. Listen, I've got the whole Lithuania like messaging me on Instagram, which is absolutely amazing. I've got a whole nation behind me, like my hometown, like my home country and stuff like that, and even Britain as well. I mean, listen, as much as, you know, I say, I think it's best described as born in Lithuania but bred in Britain. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I've got the heritage from Lithuania, and like I really like pay close patriotism to them. But at the same time, I've been living in Britain my whole life, so you know, I've got a massive like group of friends and family and all that, people have really took me in ever ever since I come up here. And I mean, listen, you got Calvin Kattar and Dan Ige. That's an amazing fight. You got even that Abdul Razak Hassan, I think is his name. He's a really good fighter. You know, you got amazing card. Like you've got all the
Munoz.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got you know, the bloody Frankie Edgar as well. I mean, you know, you're meeting another legend of the sport that I'm going to be able to meet as well. You know, like I said, because you know it's leading up into the main card, and you've got pretty much the best of British going on here. I mean, listen, you've got Molly McCann, LaRon Murphy, you got Chris Fishgold. So you got really, really good fight. It's a good time as well to show out the British talent as well. The guys coming up in the system here, and a lot of guys coming from Cage Warriors, funny enough. So yeah, like I can't wait to go and perform on that card. I think with the spotlight now on the sport, the main focus going on us, because we're the only sport out there, and you know, being on BT Sport and ESPN and this and that, it's just created such an amazing platform. It's like, how could you not want to go out there and perform at your best? It just gives me more energy and more life, knowing that there's more eyes on me, because now I'm like, well, now I get to show even more. Like, I've always wanted to be in that situation. I always wanted to be in the spot. I always want to be that guy who's featured and this and that. And like, now's my time to do it. Like literally, it's come because I've wanted it. Like, I've literally been you know, dreaming it into existence. This is what I want. Like, I want to feel what it's like. I want to have those eyes on me. I want to go out and perform. So I think it just adds more fuel to my fire, knowing all those factors going into play. And listen, if I can go out there, you know, be myself, you know, give them something to work with, then, you know, let's work on getting out to stardom. But you know, it all starts on July 15th. I have to go and put the opponent that I have right in front of me. I've had a lot of people interview me, and you know, they ask, oh yeah, so who are you looking to fight next? And I'm like, I don't even look at that. Listen, you've got to look at every guy in front of you as the hardest, toughest opponent in the world. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not looking past my opponent. He's very dangerous on what he's good at. You can't overlook no one. Of course, I believe my skill set is far superior, and I feel I'm going to knock him out. I feel there's no other way about it. I know I'm going to go out there and finish him. But listen, I'm training my arse off, preparing so that I know that that's going to happen. Otherwise, I could easily say, but this is an easy fight, and I'll just go on my way. And, you know, hell no. You got to train like everyone's the best in the bloody world. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And that's why I'm going to put out the best performance of my life out on July 15th.
Sweet. Well, that's a good note to end it on, because you've made a statement of what's going to happen. Before we let you go, pal, any sponsors, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna try and run through it as quick as I can. But Iridium Sports Agency, I've got to say a massive thank you. Jason House, Jacob, Ed, you know, amazing team. I mean, listen, they got me into the UFC, and now we're going to start this amazing journey together, and I can't wait. Mauler MMA, amazing tracksuits, guys. Like, if you need like some new, like, really cool looking kind of stuff, go over there. They've got some really good MMA equipment as well. Been a massive sponsor of mine, and he's an absolutely lovely fella. So yeah, big shout out to Mauler. Big shout out to Distinct Physiotherapy. Leanne, always taking care of me. Saw her last week. Going to see her again this week. Absolutely amazing woman. Go check her out. She's very good at what she does, and everything's very specific. Like I said to myself, Fighter Shop UK, massive. Absolutely helped me out with all the equipment and gear that I need. Always helping out. Lithuanian brother as well, so that always helps. 7NRG, really good CBD company. I found that they're a bit more unique than some of the others, and the products that they provide are really, really good. Sancti Pue is a clothing brand of one of my friends. Actually, he was on Take Me Out with me. He's got a very good brand. I think he's based around here in Liverpool, or he might be in Manchester. I'm not 100% sure, but he's got some very good stuff. Obviously, you've got to give a big shout out. BST Academy, Danny Batten, Denison Sutherland. Got to thank all my training partners out there as well. They've been helping me out a lot. Ed Ingemels, Thomas Reynolds, they've been helping me out a lot. Got to thank Legion Grappling, my man Joe, helping me out big with the wrestling out here. Yeah, like, you know, Mill Hill BJJ, Hodger Gracie's Academy. You know, we got like, I've got an amazing team behind me. There's a lot of people that have been, you know, helping me out a lot financially, and those guys, you know who you are, and, you know, I give you thanks all the time, because without you lot, this dream wouldn't be a reality. And, you know, we're all gonna come up together. There'll be a time when I'll be flying all you lot out to Las Vegas with me, going and fighting in these big fights. So, you know, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have an amazing team behind me. All the best companies, all the best people, you know, people that really care about me, and I care a lot about them. And together we're going to go and rise to the top. So I can't wait. This journey has only just begun, and it's going to be a hell of a roller coaster.
How can they quickly follow you on that journey then? What are your handles on social media? Yeah,
so I mainly use Instagram, but it's MODYB24. And then my Twitter is basically my name, like a little bit of my name. So it's MODESTAS, then BUKAUS1. So I sort of cut my second name a little bit, but that's my Twitter. Instagram I just mentioned. Facebook is my full name, and that's about it pretty much.
Awesome. We'll put all the handles when we release this today when people are listening. But you've been amazing, dude. Best of luck from me and Simon. Smash it. Good luck. Stay safe.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. It's been a real pleasure talking with you lot. I had a lot of fun. And yeah, like I say, all the best to you lot. Hope you lot are doing really well. And I'll catch you lot soon.
No worries, pal. No worries. Time. Speak soon.
Nice one. Thank you guys so much. Take care, guys. Bye.